Soxcast is back, and we're only opening day is creeping up because we're on the road June 3rd, and if I do the math right, that is now 8 weeks away, 56 days. And joining the Soxcast this week to give us an overview for the season, talk about last year, essentially give us a state of the Blue Sox. It's assistant GM, and as owner George Deak has put it to me just before recording, his protege, the great guy that I really have come to love working alongside. Last year, definitely more of the same this year, Juliano Macera, a.k.a. Juice. The juice is loose on this episode. I'm glad to get you on, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun seeing, I think, 20 episodes now. So
20 plus, yeah.
Yeah, so to be on, I'm excited. It's gonna be some fun.
So first of all, for those people that don't know, you're still in school at Syracuse University, and it's not like you're just a senior right now. Like you haven't even gotten to senior year yet. So it's incredible that you've already gotten this assistant GM position at such a young age. Tell me the story about how that came along and what you were expecting, coming into this in a situation, again, where not a lot of people your age, very seldom get an opportunity like that.
Yeah. So my freshman year, also former Blue Sox intern Tommy Mumau, he had recommended, hey, he knew I was in sport management and wanted to really stay local and be involved. So he hooked me up with the team, and I did some stats, things like that, and that was the COVID year. So we had, essentially, it was the 2021 group of guys, and I was keeping track of their stats, helping write some press releases, things like that. And maybe 2 months or so into me getting going, the season got canceled, which was a real bummer. And I wasn't totally sure what to expect. I was really starting to groove with the staff we had at the time, come up with some ideas, really just get to the summer and play baseball. So once it was canceled, I knew I wanted to do it again next year and really get that in-person feel. And from there, things just kind of fell into place to where, I'd met with George, and I, essentially became almost his right-hand man. And since then, I've just kind of been going with it. I love it. Very thankful to have the opportunity. Like you said, not many people get to say they do some of the things that I get to do. So it's a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun last year. Really good group of guys, and I'm excited for this year's group.
So let's talk about last year. It's one thing to have these plans, like I want to do this and this to keep the operation going at a high level, but it's another thing to actually carry it out. So, tell me about, the stresses and all of that, in your first real summer handling such a high level management position.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of stress. It was a lot of hours, and you don't really think about it. I was actually just telling someone today, it was, some 80-hour weeks, which, I never thought I would really say, and then kind of tallying them up at the end of the week and being like, wow, I was here from, this time to that time. And yeah, for the good bulk of that, you're watching a baseball game and, being on the inside and seeing those guys interact with each other. That made it awesome, seeing just how goofy and fun and they're real people. And that's our big goal, is to connect these guys with the community. A lot of them aren't familiar with Utica. I know a lot of our interns this year who are doing press releases are asking the question, hey, what do you know about Utica? And it's, not a whole lot. It's, I had some questions from some collegiate coaches saying, is this Utica, New York, or Utica, I believe, Michigan? I want to say there's a baseball team, the Utica Unicorns.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's even some questions there, like, where the heck is Utica? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It definitely makes it worth it at the end, working through a lot of the things that we do.
So I got to ask too. I mean, for me, because I had been working for this team for such a long time, and this was the first year as on PA side where it just seemed like everything just came together with so many unique things that really you could only attribute to, like, oh yeah, that's a Utica, that's a Blue Sox type of thing. So for you, what was it like watching the culture really take a massive step forward in, establishing the culture with, things like, pump it up, Blue Day, and just all around, and the social media presence too, just again, really taking a big step forward with establishing that culture and really like settling in concrete for moving forward into next year and beyond.
Yeah, and as soon as I kind of settled into the role, that's a big thing that George and I challenge each other on, and really try to push the limits in terms of whether it's social media. Game day experience is huge. Last year was weird, especially coming out of COVID, being limited in capacity to start the year, and kind of having that off year of, not that people forget, but kind of getting people back and saying, hey, this is affordable family fun that you don't have to drive to New York City to see the Yankees, or even out to Syracuse to see the Mets, or whatever it may be. So that's a big priority, and then having yourself on the PA, and really rocking out with some of the things you're saying, or even I would get so many compliments from, whether it's sponsors, group nights, just fans walking by, who love the sound effects of the opposing team makes an error, and now it's boo this man, and or whatever it may be. I get a kick out of it, and I know other people do. So I think that's really the big draw, and that's what makes us unique. I haven't gotten to see many other teams within the league, but I know this has got to be the place to be, and at least in the PGCBL, for all those things that I'm kind of talking about. So it also helps to see some really, really good baseball. This is, a perennial powerhouse now. I want to say since George has purchased the team, things have really just only gone up, which is awesome.
Got that right, 100%. Now, I know as the assistant GM, you were really putting in charge of a lot of special projects, and by that we're talking about like promotional nights, and obviously you talk about Pink Night and all that. I mean, you could even say Pink Night as one of the nights you were most proud of as assistant GM to organize. But what were your favorite highlights of just promotional nights you organize, and just any games in general? I mean, I would love to hear what your personal favorite moments, nights, whatever from last summer were.
Yeah, and I got to say, I mean, Pink Night stands out just because it's so different from what we do. It's really nice to raise money. I want to say last year we raised a little over $4,000 for the American Cancer Association, which was a record for us. So I mean, that's huge, and you're doing it for a good cause, and the guys have fun with it, and the fans get into it. I want to say, there's some ones that I'm really excited about for this year. But kind of going back to last year, it's almost like the simplicity of Dollar Dog Night. That's something that it was kind of like we tossed it around. We're like, yeah, sure, let's just kind of go with it. So we promoted it, and the players got super into it, and I know you got into it, and everything just kind of took over. And I hope the fans saw that. I know, at least in the clubhouse, and correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say it was a bit earlier in the season. So I feel like that brought the guys together too. They broke out the Bluester costume, and I mean, it was just crazy, and it was all over dollar hot dogs. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it kind of just goes to show you can put a lot of thought into things, and it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that was cool. Or you can say, yeah, let's just make hot dogs $1 tonight. And then that's all the rage, and that's all people talk about for the rest of the year. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, definitely some good ones in the pipeline, which I'm really excited about.
I mean, it's kind of hard to talk Blizzy Day, am I right?
Absolutely. I'm sure it'll make a comeback this year.
I mean, for me personally, I'm hoping it would. But I mean, let's talk about, I mean, just the on-field success was good. 24-17 season, top of the Central Division. Obviously had a, tough loss in the postseason, but when it comes to summer collegiate baseball, it's not like you're bringing all these guys back and they were like re-signing guys and all that. Essentially, it's a brand new team for the most part. I mean, when you talk about putting this roster together, I know George has a lot of input, but you have some say in it too. But for you personally, I mean, I know one thing personally I'm looking forward to most, obviously bringing third-year guys back in the form of local guys, of course, local favorites, Ryan Enos, Dewey Roden, who we've hyped up a lot. And then even some other local products, like we just announced Brandon Peterson, and Itai Spinoza is from Syracuse, but still, it's relatively local. I mean, who else on the roster, are you most excited about? I mean, locally, and also, I mean, just talk about like the incredible talent. I mean, getting some guys who are going to be going to Kentucky next year, and just some big bats too. Because I mean, I know we'll have a lot of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is where I could talk all day about the guys that we had, and really just the process as a whole. Dewey and Ryan were priorities to start. George and I didn't even have to sit down to know. We wanted Ryan at second base, and we wanted Dewey back in some capacity. Right now he's coming off of an arm injury, so pitching is unlikely, but definitely having his bat in the lineup is going to be huge. And then really it's just a huge bonus that they're both local guys. I mean, those are two guys. I mean, they're the epitome of what it is to be a Blue Sox. So have them back for really like almost unprecedented 30 years. There's been some guys to do it, but being those local heroes, almost, for the lack of a better word, they were huge in our process, and really we pegged them in at those positions right away. And that was following the loss in Auburn, we knew, hey, we wanted them back. Brandon Peterson was actually our first signing. That's something fans don't necessarily see, just because we're recruiting in early fall, kind of throughout the winter, even a little bit now here and there. But he was the first call that I made. We had some guys from NJIT last year, which we loved. We wanted to keep that relationship going. So the coach we spoke to from there, he said, hey, I've got a local guy, and if you guys are interested, we'd love to keep him home for the summer before he comes out to New Jersey for his freshman year. So we're excited to have him. I've actually heard a lot of really good things, and he's down at a really good baseball prep school. I believe it's P27 Academy, which is awesome. And another local guy, Roman Kimball, not with us, but he had gone to that school, and now he's at Notre Dame. So really good connection there. And then I know you mentioned Itai, another really, really good guy that we're excited about. Coach Gillette had actually scouted him during, I think it was the COVID summer. And he was also made a very high priority of, when we're looking at pitchers that we want for the summer, this is a guy that we need to have. Left-handed guy. So, I mean, that's huge. Also fairly local. He's from the Syracuse area. And really, Coach Gillette just said, hey, we've got to have this kid here. So now a freshman at Elon. Not sure if he's thrown a ton, but really that's not too big of a deal, just considering the talent that he has, and that we know we've seen. Other guys that Coach Gillette has noticed before. I mean, he'd found Sam DeGeorge in the same league, and I want to say Sam threw like 30 innings for us last year and had a lot of success. So I mean, that's kind of what we're expecting is Itai to come in and have a very similar impact. And I mean, really, that's just four guys. I could go on and on. I'd be more than happy to, but yeah.
I mean, so I definitely want to talk about just the offense that's coming together. I mean, you can name drop a few, because I know I could as well, because I'm seeing how the rosters come together. But I mean, last year's offense was pretty darn good. This team right here that's being put together, they could trump that. I mean, pump it up is the mantra of the team last year. It's probably going to continue for years to come. And obviously, when that's the run scoring song, especially with that offense, you're going to be hearing that a lot more times. And for opposing teams, that's going to be a song that will probably give them PTSD or nightmares in their sleep with some of the guys that are in that lineup. I'd love to hear what you're excited about most with the offensive output that you're going to be getting.
Yeah, the offense, the priority was, we wanted to make sure we were strong up the middle. And from there, we got strong up the middle, and then everything else around it became just as strong. And really the priority was speed and power, not necessarily both, but if a guy has one of those tools, we would be more than happy to work around them, and really they would have a place in our lineup. The outfield, we've got 5 really good guys, very fast. We've got 2 guys who run 6.5 60s. Another 2 are doing 6.7, and then the quote unquote slowest guy runs a 6.9, and he's more of a power guy. So that's huge out there. So, and Renane is a bigger field. So to have an almost no fly zone, you could have 3 guys out there run 6.5 6.6, and nothing's going in the gap. The infield, I very, very happy with how things shook out. A lot of power, at first, got 2 really big bats, with Dewey, and then we've got a first baseman, Edwin Tavares from Felician University. And then, at second, obviously you've got Rhino. Short, very, very strong. We've got Carson Applegate going to Kentucky, top 200 recruit. We've got a shortstop from Wabash, which is one of the top 5 D1 JUCO schools in the country. And then we've got Brady Short from Central Connecticut State, who we've got the connection with them from former Blue Sox Franklin Jennings. So
Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir. So, he spoke very highly of Brady, and we're excited to have him. And then at third, we actually just finished up there. We signed Daedric Kale from Arkansas State. He's one of those guys, and it makes me laugh thinking of like a Michael Dallas type of guy, in the sense of he could have been a quarterback at a Division I school and played football, or he could play baseball. And similar to Dallas, he just loves baseball. Talking on the phone with him when we got him signed was, hey, I just want to swing. And he's having a hell of a year. I want to say right now he's hitting 350 as a true freshman, number 1 third baseman out of Arkansas last year. So very excited for him. And then we actually just rounded out our positional recruiting with Troy Hamilton, third baseman from USC Upstate. So, really excited for, the potential of a lot of these guys. Positionally, a lot of, I want to say all of these guys are playing and starting for their schools, which is huge for us and the league. You're bringing in a lot of really big schools, big names. Then you're bringing in a lot of talent of guys who, they're hitting 280, 290 for their schools now. So we're hoping they wreak havoc on the pitchers in the PGCBL this summer.
And by the way, I forgot to mention this. I know you talk about the connection with NJIT, and I know who that coach is because, he's like myself, seen all Pirates, Giuseppe Papaccio, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So I wanted to give G a shout out there, and because I know his mom actually was a professor of mine at Seton Hall, so I could not do it. But anyways, now with the coaching staff, Dougie, priority to bring him back. I feel like that was done deal before. Like, you don't even need to do any formalities. Doug Gillette is still the manager no matter what. But a link to the past now. I know you brought in Will Tucker as one of the other assistant coaches, but going to the past to a guy that I happen to know from 2015, and he was also the pitching coach in 2013, the year before I got there. But Chris Amaya also rounding out that coaching staff. Last year's staff was pretty good, but this might be the most well-rounded coaching staff that you could possibly get that can really fit and mesh well with this group of guys that you're going to be bringing in. Am I not mistaken in that?
Yeah. And Coach Amaya is a great guy, just from talking with him, very family oriented, very knowledgeable about, what he does. He'll be our pitching coach for the summer. He's been great to work with. Him and Coach Gillette, they gelled instantly. It was, hey, let's set up a call. Let's kind of meet and have our initial, kind of season preview. And this was months ago. So, they instantly gelled. They were going back and forth. And then bringing on Coach Tucker, also super excited. He's, young and up and coming coach, very highly recommended from the coaches that he's worked with. Really when we spoke to the school that he's currently coming from, we spoke to John Torres, the head coach at Monroe College in the Bronx, which is a D3 JUCO. He said, we could not have picked a better guy. He's the first one there, last one to leave. He's coaching the JV team on the side. He's doing this, that. He's picking his brain, and he's asking him questions where he's like, how the hell did you even think of that? He's thinking, just so well. And then, he's very knowledgeable, and, I want to say he's not much older than I am. He's probably, 24, 25. So to have a staff that well-rounded, like I said, we've been meeting for a few months now, and kind of been going back and forth. Everyone's picking each other's brains and getting prepped and ready to go. It's going to be a lot of fun, and not a lot of teams are as lucky as we are to have 3 coaches. And that's something I don't think a lot of fans may notice is, typically your head coach is at third, your second coach is at first, and there's no one in the dugout. We're very lucky to, we have our head coach, and then now we've got Coach Amaya will be at third, Coach Tucker will be coaching first. So it's just another set of eyes. It's a guy who can help these guys develop. At the end of the day, that's the big thing we're trying to do is send these guys back to school better than when they came to us, and continue working and being an asset for these schools, so that Utica builds that reputation of, the place you want to be, which I think we've definitely proven we can be.
And on that note, you talk about assets. I mean, talk about being able to manage and be a part of some of the other assets. I mean, again, we're filming here at Blue Sox Academy. I mean, you saw the initial one, not bad, but the shindig we got here now, like, it's like you're going from like, I don't know how to phrase. I mean, going from like, your small town and finally making it to the big time. That's the best way I could put it. And then, you have all these sponsorship deals that, you help facilitate. I know you put the interns up to that. And previously, John Franchi was in charge of that as well. But I mean, I would love to hear more about, what it's like helping make Utica the place to be for players, especially when you have a huge facility like we do where I am right now in Blue Sox Academy.
Yeah. And that's a really big part of what George and Cynthia brought to the organization. And, they're amazing in the support they provide to myself and to you and really just the rest of the staff. And that's completely separate from what they created with the Blue Sox Academy. Really with the Academy, it's such an easy sell to, we recorded a video tour back when it first opened of the new facility. And I sent that to all the guys, once we had it, who were already signed, and then the guys who we brought on post that video or, post that opening. And, if they were on the fence, they became in. If they were in, they were stoked. And it's something that they know, hey, if it rains, I can go, I can hit, I can throw. If it's not raining, I mean, just last year, Angel and Jeff were 2 guys who were always in the old facility, just hitting, grinding away on the hack attack. Now we've got 7 cages. We could have, the entire team there and, still be perfectly fine and have some more room to spare. So guys who are looking to work and get better at their craft, they're going to love it. And we've got 40 guys who they're going to eat it up and they're going to get better and everyone's going to see. It's going to be awesome.
Now let's shift gears to this coming summer and this season. I mean, different format, back to the 2 divisions, and we're in the West Division, as mentioned before, which competition-wise is a little more favorable because the East is, loaded, let's put it that way. But in terms of like the scheduling, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, again, opening night will be 56 days away, and then that will be in Geneva. And then the next night, home opener against the team that knocked us out of the playoffs last year, the Auburn Doubledays. So a little good, hopefully good taste of vengeance there, as I'm pretty sure we haven't lost a home opener since 2014, which was my first year working with this team. Good Lord. But I mean, what can we look forward to promotion wise? And what are you looking forward to with, seeing a lot of different teams that we didn't get to see last year?
Yeah, that's the fun part. Is last year it was a lot of Watertown, a lot of Mohawk Valley, and a lot of Auburn as well. This year, I think you can still expect, you'll see those teams, but you're going to get a nice little mix. Socrates is going to come to town for a doubleheader. I'm sure Jamestown, Geneva, teams like that will be in at least once or twice. So really excited for that. Promotionally, I don't want to tip our hand too much, and we've got a lot of things that are, pretty solid, but not locked in yet for at least a specific date. Pink the Park will be back. I know we announced that. And then the other one that I'm super excited about will be Autism Acceptance Night.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, the people over at the Kalberman Center, I've worked with Kelly Carinci, and she's been awesome and huge and really facilitating what we're going to do, and it's going to be very Pink the Park-esque. We're going to wear special jerseys. We're going to auction them off again. So you'll have 2 chances this year to bid on your favorite player's jersey, take it home, and that's going to be awesome. So we're going to raise some money for them. And like I said, I do not have enough good things to say about them. I mean, they've been awesome to me and really just the Blue Sox since we started working with them last year. So really excited to give back to them and to have 2 special jersey nights. I think it'll be a lot of fun. We'll do Autism Acceptance Night in June, and then we'll do Pink the Park in July. So kind of 2 really big games to look forward to during the short yet long season. It gets to be a grind right there in the middle, but these will definitely be good breaks, and it'll be a lot of fun. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to most.
And it's funny that you mentioned, I mean, both of those games, I mean, they're rivalry nights in unique ways. I mean, the Pink the Park night game is against the Diamond Dogs. That's been the longtime rival. And then a team we didn't get to see last year because of COVID, but a team that Utica's had a lot of history with for that Autism Acceptance Night, the Elmira Pioneers. I mean, this is a team that we met in the playoffs back in 2016. And when we were both in the West, had a lot of great, just duke it out type of battles over the years. So, I mean, to have both of those rivalry games is great. And by the way, and for you, I mean, I know I've kind of helped you fill you in on the history as to where, how we even got to where we are in the first place. I mean, and about this because, we've been posting about former players that have been just going off. I mean, for one, Josh Hatcher hit for the cycle twice in the span of a week. I mean, who does that? So when you see former players that just go off like that, and not even just that. I mean, Cedric Mullins was a major league all-star. I mean, Colton Bender got drafted this past year to the San Diego Padres. I mean, even though you weren't around for that, do you still take a lot of pride in saying yeah, we did that here in Utica, and not many others can say that they've been able to accomplish the same things in our league.
Yeah, and that's to the Josh Hatcher who hits for the cycle twice in a week. It's nobody. I don't know if anyone's ever even done that. I want to say the stat I saw was, he's only one of 3 or 4 people who's ever hit for the cycle more than once. So to do it twice in the same week, come on. And that was a guy that, 2019, you could have saw him in Utica, and I know he was a guy who was actually drafted prior to that. So that kind of speaks to the caliber of player. I know you mentioned Cedric Mullins and Colton Bender, guys like that, they're coming through here, and it's us, it's everyone else in the PGCBL. I mean, every year there's bound to be a guy or two who, whether it's independent ball or the MLB and their affiliates, you really are seeing some really good baseball players, but you're seeing guys who, it may be 5 years down the line, it may be 10 years down the line, they're going to be playing for the Yankees or against the Yankees sort of thing. So that's awesome. And, to really cap it all off, you get a ticket for $7 and, you walk in and you're you're seeing great baseball. You have the fun that, you don't necessarily get with some other, really high profile teams. We're afforded that opportunity to think outside the box, have a little more fun, be a little more interactive, at least on a regular basis. These are just, college kids, they're 18 to 23, some are even 24, who have some college eligibility left. And that's another thing the league just changed, was now draft eligible seniors can play. So I wouldn't even be surprised to see some teams bring in a guy or two who is going to play half the season, then turn around and get drafted. So it's going to be a really, really good summer. I've been counting down the days since, August 15th of last year. So really excited.
So last but not least, I mean, I wanted to my own horn here because I've been telling people about this. Talk about the promotions. Paint the park, all sorts of acceptance. But to be a part of, because we didn't do this last year. Obviously, COVID restrictions had part of the reason why. But alumni / Blue Sox Hall of Fame weekend. I feel like that's going to be something that is going to be really exciting for you because, you get to actually, instead of hearing about the past, you get to see the past and all these former players, and obviously getting to meet a guy like Robbie Young, who, did great things on the field, but, has been instrumental off the field with what he's been doing. JUCO product, which he launched while he was still an active college athlete, is now the official, merchandise sponsor of all of the NJCAA. I feel like for you, being, again, technically third, but second year at the same time as well with the organization, I feel like that weekend before Pink in the Park, July 16th against Jamestown, who we mentioned before, I feel like that's going to be something for you at least, and for all the fans that it'll be something really enjoyable, because for those that didn't have the luxury of seeing these guys, now they can get introduced or maybe even reintroduced to these guys who made an impact here on and off the field.
Yeah. These, and it goes back to who these players are. They're going to be business owners. They're going to be CEOs. They're more than just baseball players, which, I feel like for some people, it's kind of hard to wrap their head around. You go to the game and I get questions like, do they get paid or this or that? And, there's not a whole lot of understanding almost of the behind the scenes stuff or really about the players. So to see guys like Robbie Young have that success, that's awesome. And it's off the field, they're doing well in their real lives, which, you couldn't ask for anything better. So, and I know, kind of on the JUCO product end, those are guys too who, they're coming to Utica for a chance. We've got two guys coming from Jefferson College, another really good D1 JUCO. And then, like I mentioned, two guys from Wabash, San Jacinto, which is another really good D1 JUCO. You're going to have some guys who they have that chip on their shoulder and they want to play at that next level. So it really is a perfect storm of things going on, of, really good talent to begin with. But guys, they're only going up from here, young and looking to prove themselves and continue. It's the same thing with guys like myself, you, and the rest of our, staff is, everyone's looking for that next opportunity. And, you only get to see that in Utica here and now, because next year, outside of, the Enuses and Rodens of the world, you're probably not going to see them again until it's, down the line when they're doing really, really good things. So, and even guys like Ryan and Dewey, come see them now while you still can. I'm sure they're both going to go on to do great things on and off the field. I know they both have at least one more year left. Who knows? Maybe we'll see them for a fourth year in Utica. I know if it was up to George and myself for next year, and this is 2023, that we would take them back in a heartbeat, because they're huge for us, the community, the organization. So, if they're watching, I just hope they know that we have their contracts ready for 2023 if they want them.
Rhino, Dewey, you better hear that loud and clear. I mean, you could literally sign the day after the season ends, but again, we still got a season to play. 56 days, June 3rd, Sox open up at the Geneva Red Wings at McDonough Park, but then right after that, June 4th, opening day. God, you honestly, I don't even know, since August 15th, you could probably say that, but at the same time, like probably since that schedule, I'm like, okay, we now know I got something to count down for, because now we know the actual day that we're going to be counting down to now. But that's June 4th against the Double Days. I mean, I'm for one, I'm going to be excited, but it's going to be hard to match your excitement because, again, you're the one that's really making it all happen, and along with George, of course. Juice, dude, I mean, by the way, I want to, pull back the curtain here. This is kind of like a last second thing, but for some last second, turned out pretty darn good. Juice, again, thanks for the time. Keep doing well over at Syracuse with your sports management program and all that. And, once that school year ends for you, end of May, I look forward to seeing it then and, getting back and packing Murnane and pumping it up a lot this summer, man.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really, really good team coming. A lot of fun things in the pipeline. So, really hoping that we can push the limit with June 4th and continue it on throughout June and July. So, like I said, I could not be more excited. And thank you for having me on.
So for next week's episode, again, a week from today is Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th. And we have a special Jackie Robinson Day panel. We've had a lot of great African-American players in our organization, including 2 of our 3 current Hall of Famers are African-Americans, and they will be on this panel along with a host of several other great African-American players who have come through this organization within the last 5 to 6 years. So that will be next week here on the Soxcast. So for my guest, the great Juice, Juliano Macera, I'm Tim Best, your host for the Soxcast. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch you next week once again for that Jackie Robinson Day special. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend, y'all.